we've been living in a great TV life feedback loop for the past over 100 years. See how a feedback loop works. If you don't know, when you have a speaker go out, you hear the sound, and it goes out. Okay, it actually starts with a mic. Let me start over. Starts out with a mic. Sound goes into the mic, goes out of the speakers, and then back into the mic, and then around in circles, and around and around and around and around, like a hamster on a wheel. It's like the Lion King's circle of life. It just goes round and round and round, and it may get louder and louder and louder, or something else. It may just explode. It goes crazy. That's a feedback loop. That's an example. Just an example of a feedback loop is one of my favorite examples. The speaker to microphone feedback loop, and it goes round and round and round. Another example that I like to talk about is the time loop thing. If you travel in time, you might create a paradox. Doc Brown talked about that in Back to the Future. Maybe he didn't actually talk about it exactly. I might be putting words in his mouth. Never mind that for a second. Just wanted to say really, really briefly that we've been living in a TV life feedback loop. It starts off with life, supposedly, to some degree, some large degree, theoretically speaking. In a way, in some ways at least. You have life, and out of life you get TV and movies and entertainment, Hollywood. To some degree, other kinds of media and formats too, a little bit, like books and comics and newspapers and magazines and all that other stuff, but mostly TV, and movies, but mostly TV. Also, there's a lot of other stuff. There's music videos, audio stuff, radio, a lot of other stuff. The internet now, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, etc., etc. A lot of different websites, a lot of different things, a lot of different forms of media. But nevertheless, and regardless, basically, we've been living in a feedback loop. And let me just briefly illustrate, or outline the feedback loop. You start out with life, and then let's say, for example, they make a TV show, and the TV show is supposed to reflect life, so that it's relatable. So you might have a good TV show in the 1950s, for example, right? For example, you could have a TV show in the 1950s, let's say, Father Knows Best, or there's a bunch of other shows, a lot of other examples, but just pick one, pick a show or a movie. Let's just say a TV show, a series. Pick one, anyone, out of a hat. Pick whatever one is your favorite. I don't care, goddamn. Maybe I do care. You just pick one out of a hat, and a lot of times these shows, especially family sitcoms and other stuff too, but mostly probably the sitcoms, for example, are especially like this, I imagine. You got the Brady Bunch, and you got Leave It to Beaver, and they're supposed to somewhat reflect society. And so it's TV can be based on life. But then people grow up watching TV, and then they start to reflect the TV. Not entirely. There's some exceptions. So you can always find exceptions, but thinking in a very generic perspective on how it affects a lot of people, generally, and how it changes culture over time, over many decades. You can kind of see you can sort of see the frog boiling, boiling frog boiling, hotter, slowly over time. I mean, like, think about this, like, over the course of like 100 years or 120 years, and like, stuff's happening to a lot of people, and there's like this question you can have. You can always have the question: what came first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken. What kind of bird is that? A chicken, a turkey, a chicken or the egg? What came first? You know, like, what came first, the TV or the culture, the society, life? It's like, is TV reflecting life, or is life reflecting TV? Because if all you know is based on TV, then it's like, are you doing things because you saw it on TV, or are you doing things because you you want to do it, or you saw other people do it in your family, your friend, the people around you, whatever. You know, like, where did you get it? And of course, you're gonna get some of it, whatever you do, whoever you are, and stuff. You know, like, you get some of that from the people around you and stuff. But my question would be, to what degree, to what percentage, and that varies. It depends. You know, a lot of factors, a lot of variables. Yeah, a lot of variables. Yeah, some people might be like almost 100% like influenced by the TV, by the TV, yo, the television, yo, and movies, and everything else. For better or for worse. But I think it's kind of crazy, because I mean, I just think about that, and I'm really into history and all that kind of stuff, like the history of the toothbrush, for example, the history of the evolution of the pencil and how it evolved over the course of thousands of years, the evolution of the architecture and the design of a radio over the past 5,000 years, even though radio's only been around for less than that, as far as we know. Yeah. Okay. So I'm really into that kind of stuff. Really into the history of a lot of different things. I'm really fascinated about all that kind of stuff when I'm not making TikTok videos. God damn it, when I'm not making Snapchat videos. Please don't tell anybody about that. But my little secret. But seriously, like, think about that. Like, think about history and think about the evolution, the progression, the evolution or the devolution of things. Things can go up and down, and a little bit of both, all the time. It's like up and down, and it's kind of going up and down at the same time, not just up and down, but it's like things are very multifaceted if you think about it. Isn't that ironic? And I really do think, yeah. Thank you very much. I do think it's right. Oatmeal here, I really do think. And so this is a thought that I've thought about off and on for years, kind of thing, about the feedback. Feedback? What? I mean, the feedback. Feedback? No. Feedback. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, dog. Feedback loop. Like, think about that. Like, how's that affecting the world, for better and for worse? And what do you do about it now that you know it, if you didn't know it, or now that you are reminded about it? What do you do with it, knowing about it? I think for me, what I do with the information is, one, I think about it a little bit, and I find it very interesting to think about these feedback loops that's been around for a very long time, and like whether it's TV or something else. Like, that's just an example of a feedback loop, whether it's TV or movies or the internet or anything else. Like, these are more modern examples of these crazy feedback loops, and talking about it is really, really intriguing in this video, for example. And I should probably write about it. I should write some articles about it. I think I should write some really good articles about it because I'm a writer. I like to write about it. I like to talk about it, and it makes me feel really good, like really good, like kind of good, because it's very interesting for a lot of reasons. Believe it or not, but anyways, I find it very, very interesting looking at the history of these feedback loops, whether it's in regards to TV and how TV influences how people talk, what people do, what people say, what they do in their lives, and everything, and how that influences TV, which then influences life and the world, which then influences TV again, which then influences life, which influences TV, which then influences life, which then influences TV. Believe it or not, you see that loop going round and around and around and around in circles. It's like, what came first, the TV or the life? TV or the life, the chicken or the egg? It's a constant, never-ending story. The never-ending story. It's like, it's a song that never ends. Like, seriously, like, it's crazy if you think about it, because it's like a loop. It's like the land of the universe. It's like the it's like the elevator that goes up a million, billion, trillion, like years, like light year. What's bigger than that? Many galaxies up, like trillions of galaxies up. What a big tall building! The tree of the universe, the land of the universe, the elevator of the universe, the oatmeal of the universe. Like, like, what does that mean? Like, it's like really big. Like, all that stuff. Those are things I came up with, ideas I came up with when I was a little boy, before high school. Back when I was doing homeschool, I thought about all these ideas, and like, those ideas are really big. But this feedback thing is really, really big too. It probably bigger. This little live TV feedback thing is probably really big, like probably bigger than that. And so I'm thinking about how this TV life loop is crazy, and then I'm thinking about what came before that. I don't know exactly how society was influenced and what kind of feedback loops were around in the 19th century. That's right, in the 1800s and before that. Oh my, I'm terrified. No, I'm not really terrified. I am. You are? Yeah. I'm so terrified. You are very terrified? Yes, I'm very terrified. You are very, very, very terrified? Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Yeah. Alright. You are? Yes, I am. Wow, that's crazy. Like, what was the feedback loops like before the 1900s, before the 1800s, before the 1700s? I imagine some of it came from those in power. And that's one of the ways they were able to have control. How some of those people got power and kept their power is with the feedback loop. And that would be like in a lot of different countries around the world, a lot of different kingdoms, a lot of different empires all around the world, with all their different like kings and queens and everything else going back thousands of years. I imagine a lot of those people had a lot of influence, and then you had other kinds of people too that would affect society and influence society for better and for worse. And then some feedback loops would occur from time to time. Sometimes the feedback loops would break, they would end, they would stop. And so you always have that coming and going, coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. Some of it may not ever go, perhaps. Some of them been around for thousands of years. Some of the feedback loops, some feedback loops been around for thousands of years, and some of them died, and some of them came back, and some of them just never come back, and some of them are different in different places around the world, around different people and everything. And as we approached the 1900s, we saw the rise of the feedback loop around the centralization of the fake news, the main TV channels, the TV stations, the most popular ones, or the biggest ones that were national in America, for example. We had like ABC and NBC and CBS. How many is that? That's three. Channel 2, 6, and 8, and then there's Fox, and then there was PBS, and so there was a lot of feedback coming out of those channels, and it's like that's what everybody saw, and people were happy about it, they were okay with it, or they didn't know. At least some people didn't really know. I don't know. I can't really speak on their behalf, but I imagine a lot of people didn't really know, or it's like when you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know when you don't know, and then when you start to know, then you're like, you can never unsee it. You can never ever unsee it once you see what you don't know, and you realize that there's stuff that you don't know. But it's like when you only have 3 or 4 stations, like in the 1970s, and before that, they were really the gatekeepers. Yeah, big gatekeepers. And so they were able to weaponize a lot of things, and they were able to keep the feedback loop going really strong, really hard. Yeah, the feedback loop between life and TV. Yeah, what a great feedback. I did it again. Yeah, I gotta say it. The feedback loop between the TV and real life. Is it real life? And now it's been broken in a lot of ways. One of the purposes of the internet was to regain the feedback loop as much as possible. That was one of the ideas, not the only idea. There were different people behind the internet. That's right, different people, for better and for worse. But at least some of them were intrigued with that. I mean, I don't know exactly who. I mean, obviously, the lower people are not gonna really know about it. I would imagine not a lot of people would know, but the people at the top knew. At least some of them knew. At least some of them were thinking about this, and they were doing it on purpose. Like they were like developing the internet. It was coming out of ARPA, which became DARPA, an arm of the government in America. God damn it, going back to the 1920s or something, unofficially, indirectly at least, and then officially 1950s, 1960s. It started becoming official when they started really putting it together, the internet and stuff. And the idea is like they really want to control people, and then they want to like, what's after that? Man, it's very dreadful. I don't know, but it's kind of scary. But the good news is people started decentralizing the internet in a lot of ways, and that's good. And then they started striking back. It's like Star Wars all over again. Empire strike back. Yeah, dog. They strike back. And then you see the rise of Facebook and YouTube and even Twitter and others. Those were the top 3 in a lot of ways. Not exactly the top 3. I mean, there are others depending on the era that you're talking about. But I mean, like, still to this day in 2023, those 3 do influence a lot. And then there's TikTok and there's others, but there is a lot of control around those websites, for example, and then there's the others too. And the objective is to really take back the internet from we the people, and so the purpose of the social media platforms and networks, including YouTube, who deleted over 10,000 videos of mine, me, Oatmeal and Joey Arnold. The purpose is to really keep that feedback loop running. So me thinking about all this, it's very interesting for a lot of reasons, and I should talk about this more, about how it's interesting to me, this thing, this feedback loop thing, and everything else that I think about, how it relates to a lot of things, how it affects a lot of things. I think about the history of all of it and the evolution, the devolution, all that kind of stuff. And I think that knowing it can definitely give you hope if you feel like you don't have hope or whatever. If you feel like you're down the slope, you want that, yeah, you want some hope over dope. Yeah. Because the feedback loop is crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah. Well, what do I know? I'm the oatmeal man. Yeah, and everybody tried to steal my back. But maybe that's a feedback loop too. Maybe that is your feedback loop too. You think that did a feedback loop? Yeah, you think that real big bad, ugly, little bad, little Red Riding Hood. You saw out looking good, but why did you steal my bar?